makadaot sa nilura sa bagyo ni Yolanda. Ang ambay naguba ang itapakan po sa bawod kay dako mang dagat.
Katapos yung bagyo ay nakita ko tamang nga bagay waong kita kung bagit ay imaw.
Tanan namong gamit, tanan ubos kita. Hindi naman masayran kung ano among operasyon pagkasayad naman iya nga wow ta among bagay.
Akala ko nga yun yung end of our life. Kasi wala kaming magkita, lahat, kahit dito sa mga area, talagang madilim siya, mahangin, at may tunog pa yung hangin. Talagang hurricane yung dating niya.
Paggawas ko na among balay, bagan may nakitang ko na nga, damo na an patay, damage na good-an, bisan aragian, damage na. Feeling ko talaga, diri na talaga ya makakabangon.
The main challenges of implementation for the Haiyan were the scale of the disaster. This was a very large disaster that affected different islands and across the country, and so it was very vast, not only in terms of number of affected population, but geographically as well. And we had opened 5 new offices, one in Giwan, and Tacloban, Ormoc, Cebu, and Rojas. The idea was to be present in the affected areas to reach for the affected population and therefore provide the required assistance. What we did and what we usually do in this sort of disasters is to provide tents or plastic sheeting that enable people to protect themselves from the elements and provide privacy to their families. At the same time, we've distributed the non-food items, which is kitchen sets, hygiene kits, because it's very often that when families are affected by a disaster, they lose all their belongings and they have to run away from home, and they don't have those key facilities or aspects to go on with their lives.
When I came into IOM, what they said was we need to reach out more to people who were actually hard to reach.
We go po muna doon sa municipality to coordinate, at saka then pagkatapos ng municipality, pumunta din kami doon sa mga barangays.
Malaki ang naging involvement ng barangay in selecting the beneficiaries for the IOM Recovery Shelter Package. Kasi sila yung mas nakakaalam, sila yung mas nakakakilala kung sino yung directly affected, yung mga directly affected population ng Typhoon Yolanda.
We started gathering the victims of Yolanda, and we started giving out to them some trainings.
This is what we call shelter disaster risk reduction, and the idea is to enable people to build safer and train them, and so that they train their community members and further cascade the trainings to the rest of their communities, and in this way have a broader reach out for everybody that needs how to build safer.
Tulo sa among nga bantingan namon, putingon, ti nakikita namon nga pinuting, may banting, yung mga krus duwin dito sa babaw, puro ginlansang kaya mayo.
Proud jud ko nga naapil ko kay siyempre talagsaon ra gyud nang nana nga babae nga mo panday anak kay labi na karon sige bagyo.
Shelter is a process that will enable self-sufficiency. The idea is to provide the life-saving shelter that enables people to be protected, and then start building upon that into phases that will enable families to have a more secure and more durable solution as to shelter. By having an activity like the Cash for Work in the construction of shelters enables people to have activities with the income generation, and with that money they can buy their other basic requirements as food or buy education for kids, etc. And at the same time it will enable them to be active.
pantrabaho itong temporary center. So nakakapalit-palit gyud kami partihin. Kuan ito akong pamilya.
We had two main activities in the Haiyan affected areas for the shelter program. One was the recovery shelter kit, which included construction materials, CGI toolkits and fixing kits to enable people to fix their roofs. The same RSK kit included the shelter training and the cash grant. Families will receive a small amount of cash that will enable them to purchase extra material that they may need to build or rebuild their houses, or even to hire skilled labor to help them to achieve that.
Dako an iya ginbag-uhan kay hanuna antuman la kami nga nakakahigda kay tungod nga nagtututuro man. Han paghatagi na haamon hinsim, kumbaga naging maupay nan amon pangaturog kay dire naman nagtuturoan amon gin puokyan nga balay.
The other activity are the transitional shelters, where we actually build transitional shelters or single detached units where a family will move into. Mostly these are built in relocation sites for families that live in unsafe areas.
Maupay-upayan na. Kontra na dito kami hantin. Kay dire na din ni mapaso presko net hangin. Amula ito, waray pa kami mga trabaho. Nagbibiling-biling pala. Iba talaga, parang nasisring mga imo, ginhimo para imo. Oo, may parang ginmalasakitan ka, so ganito. Iba nga, kumbaga totoosin, iba nga tao nga bumuli ka imo, ginhimo ang so ganito. Oh, basta. Ay, amo ito nga, isalit man, makikita niyo akon balay, iba talaga hit iba. Diri balitang, rampa iya, tungod hit ak wheelchair, tungod nga PWD ako, disable man ako. Asya ito nga, design para ako.
Our transitional shelters also include features that will mitigate the risk of impact by disasters. So that's definitely a key component of our contribute to the population affected by Haiyan.
Pasalamat ni Ugdako nga nana may bay. Sana unta nga napay katabangan nga sama na mo nga naguban og bay sa taga-IOM.
Kag sa tanang kumuluyo diri bastin sino pa magkapunin nagapasalamat kay kun wahay ang IOM ngayon kamang-kamang baka may tuta.
A lot still needs to be done because the impact of Yolanda was so vast that many families did not receive any type of assistance. According to the shelter cluster numbers, I think we've reached only around 30% of the families with recovery shelter needs. That means that a large number of families are on their own and trying to rebuild their homes on their own and with the means that they have or don't have, which definitely increases their vulnerability to a future disaster.